Okay, I got a carbide brazed tool in there with about a 64th inch nose radius, and I took a cut at 6/1000. It's a little rougher than I want it to be, so I'm going to move it to 3/1000, and the speed will be 849. I'll get it in gear. 849 is just like this. Okay, it seems to be in gear. And I'll move it to 3/1000. Okay. Thinking a good spot there. I've got a 10th reading dial indicator right here. The graduations on the crossfeed dial are 0 to 400 thousandths. So the dial indicator makes it easier. I don't really need a digital readout on this machine. I feed it close and then it creeps up a little bit from stick slip. Okay, that's 5/1000ths there. I'll lube up the aluminum shaft here, some little over an inch in diameter. I'll make a cut and see how it does. And here it goes. Oh, I do that quite often. Hit the wrong lever. Just touch it. Never just touched it. Get it back over to that 5/1000. And I'll pull the right lever this time, I promise. Here we are. Oh, it's gonna squeal. It does not like a finer feed. So I'm going to give it that, go back to that coarse feed, which is 6/1000, and see if I can make it work. All the difference in the world there, doubling the feed. Yeah, that's doing a good finish versus what was happening there on the end. Yeah, looking good. So a lot of times if it starts squealing, if you increase the feed, that will take care of that. Okay, at the end of it here. Okay, back it off. Now I can preliminary check it with this. And it looks pretty good. But we'll check it with something more accurate. And that would be a dial indicating snap gauge. So we'll get that on there. Get that adjusted. Go ahead and load it one turn there. Get it more towards the end. I think you can see that dial from that angle. Make sure that's on there okay. These are pretty touchy. Okay, we got that. On the 2, I'll move it over to 0. Come on. Okay, that looks pretty good. I'm going to move it over. Roll it forward. 1/1000. One and a half thousandths. Get it square and roll it forward. Kind of settles in a little bit. Just about 0 there. Get it over towards the middle. About 9/10. Get over here, clear to the end. Just a little bit over 1/1000 taper. Now there's going to be a little bit of pushover from the tool and some deflection from the chuck. So I'm going to stick, now that's reading 1/1000. Now get this thing settled in a little better, get a better idea what's going on here. Back on the end. Yeah, just about 0. Get it at the other end. Make sure I'm not influencing it. Just about 1/1000 there. So I'm going to go ahead and put a 4-jaw chuck and chuck this up and see if it improves a little bit. Okay, got a 4-jaw chuck on here, and I'm taking about a 12,000 deep cut on this material with 6,000 speed. We'll see if it squeals. A little bit on the end there. The piece of metal's about 6 inches long, and it wasn't very happy on that outer 1 inch. We'll see if this going to the 4-jaw chuck improves taper. Okay. Yeah, a little bit shattered on that outer end. So set up the snap gauge here, not worry about that outer end. I'll load that about a full turn. Reading about 1/10,000 under zero there. Let's move it over about center. Got about a 1/2 thousandths taper. Quite a bit more right there. So I'm going to take another cut and reduce the depth a little bit. Yeah, about a 1/10 under. Get a couple inches out. About 10 thousandths wider on that end. So we'll take another cut. A little bit of lube on this thing. I'll reduce the depth of cut to 6 thousandths. And probably try to increase the feed to 12.5 thousandths. Okay, I'm going to feed it in 6. Okay, there's 6 thousandths. That is definitely leaving visible lines. I might switch to micro 100 and we'll see how that does. Right about there. visibly chattered out at that outer end. I'm going to leave it right where it is there. Just about a thousandths taper at that part. I'm getting even more taper than I was with that 3-jaw. But I'm gonna try a different tool. I think this tool's breaking down on this harder aluminum. Okay, I'll be back with a sharpened up Micro 100 tool. Okay, I have got my heaviest chuck on here, a 12-inch solid steel 4-jaw. And I'm working on reducing taper from pushover from a tool, and I got a Micro 100 cutter in here. Just skimming that, we'll get into the meat here. Here we go. Just about a 6-inch length there. Chattered a little bit at the very end. Got a 3,000 speed. And a 3,000th depth of cut. Really running pretty slow at 473 RPM. Let's see how we do for taper on this thing. Definitely getting less chatter at the very end with this heavier chuck. Yeah, that's looking pretty smooth now. Yeah. I just did a final adjustment on the spindle bearings here. The spindle bearings have been run a bit loose by the previous owner for quite some time, and that's a problem too. And as you snug them in, it takes a while for them to settle out. And it was the rear pair that were run loose. Have to stop the feed here in a minute. What about there? Okay. We'll check it with a dial snap gauge. We'll get that set. I'll load the dial about a turn or so. Got it right on number 2 there. Showing a little over 1/2 thousandths taper at that point. And where it started chattering there, it's got 2 thousandths, but I'll get it back over here where the chatter stopped. Looking at about 1/1000ths taper. That finish starts getting bad right there. Okay, I got 1/1000ths taper and 4 inches, a little bigger on the end, and I think that's acceptable. I think that's okay for the size of metal and what I was doing here. I was getting as much as 3/1000ths. Yeah, about 1/1000ths taper in 4 inches. That's not too bad for a lathe that's over 80 years old. Very workable. I think later I'll drill it for a center and see if I can dial all that out. Okay. I'll be back with something else. Just kind of running this thing through some tests with the chuck. I found that the 8-inch chuck, I'm going to shorten the mount on it. I think I was getting some bad harmonics on that. I can shorten the mount up quite a bit. This 12-inch Cushman here is a direct mount, and it's a solid steel. Okay. I will be back with something else.